Welcome everyone to another episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. It's Monday, and we're going to be looking at what I think Bitcoin may be doing in the next several days. To be honest, I still don't have any clear conviction, but there's a few things that are worth pointing out. And then obviously I think we need to talk about what alts have been doing. They've been capitulating pretty hard over the last couple of days as well, much harder than Bitcoin actually did. And I think that's we're at some crossroad, and not really sure. Like the bull market may be over, and I'm gonna share what I think is likely. First of all, please, your attention for the sponsor, Prime XBT. They're a lovely exchange. They're sponsoring this content. And if you appreciate these videos every week, please consider checking out the link in the description below / in the watermark and sign up to get a 50% deposit bonus up to 0.5 BTC when you use the promo code BitcoinJack. So thanks again, Prime, for sponsoring. And let's have a little look at BTC. I was under the impression last video that this was likely to bounce up pretty strongly, and I think we only had this was a 40% bounce, right? And then we had a second sell-off, and when we consider the lower time frames, let's for example grab the 4-hour. There was a second little shock to the downside, and personally here, as we retested and swept this low, I thought this may be it. So I kind of did a bet on the upside, but then again, just like this bounce, kind of got clipped by the first resistance it came into and didn't manage to go through it. The same happened here, and then it swept even lower. Does that concern me for upside? Maybe. Am I sure, what's going to happen next? Absolutely not. I don't really know what's going to happen. There is a little setup here that I didn't take, but generally these, they're pretty nice, especially if you get like the second sell-off, sweep the trend line, reclaim it, and then break out. So there's kind of a wedgie situation here that broke out, so that kind of is promising. If this does, see continuation back to this, probably gonna have some minor rejection, and then we could trade into maybe the 0.5 here, or this 0.618, even all the way up to 55k. This is just something that I think everyone should be aware of, is that this entire consolidation up here is a pretty large one. A lot of volume changed hands there. So, that's 80 days of quote unquote distribution. It's not going to be something that we can claim as easily, I think. If we don't manage to claim and have like a relief bounce here, then we seriously need to start looking to the downside. The good thing is that funding kind of remains negative right now, so there's a lot of people hedging their positions for potential downside. So that might actually result in a bit of a short squeeze. Do I think that we're going to see that short squeeze? Well, there's about, I think, $11 billion dollars in open interest right now. So it's not huge. It's not small. If there is a couple of billion shorts trapped here, then that could probably have some positive result on price action. If we're zooming out to that daily, then we need to consider that the support is very clearly at 30k. If we look at the other books, they're filled at 30k. We've traded into this area twice now, basically on the May 19th, and then on yesterday. So if we trade back here again I think it's gonna go lower, and it's likely to go sweep the lows in January, possibly even the low of the 4th of Jan. So that kind of opens up a little bit of an inefficiency to the downside, all the way to, well, kind of scary levels. So essentially to the downside, there is 3 levels that are worth playing, which is this low here. So if we sweep it, right, and we reclaim 30, then I think that's a long signal. And then there's 2 levels of support, 24.3 and 20k, essentially. So I'm a little bit confused where this is going to go. The low time frames do have this wedgie setup to the upside. I'm not in it, which is kind of regrettable at this point. And then if this has some power, I do think it's gonna, go and retest the market structure that we lost pretty much around here. So there's like 2 bottoms here, 2 lows, and then it kind of puked through it. That's at least going to be tested, and it could trade through it. And then we're probably going to end up, around the 786 and this red line here. So essentially, the resistance up here is what we're looking at. There's a few things to note. Since the end of April, around, let's see, so over around 150,000 bitcoins have moved onto exchanges, and since then we've kind of lost a few bitcoins on the exchange. So this is at around 2.6ish, 2.5 million, 2.6 million, and this is, so we kind of lost around 50,000 bitcoins, 25,000, sorry. And a lot of that is coming from, it seems to be, there's quite a few miners actually dumping into exchanges at the moment. So kind of gotta zoom in a little bit here. But you can see that pull-in is has been depositing to exchanges quite a lot. So there is some bitcoins on exchange. So May 19th was the peak. There seems to be a second peak on the 21st, and if they're going to keep on sending bitcoins to exchanges, then we may actually lose the 30k support. But for now, 30k should be a strong support. The books are trying to defend that level, so we're going to have to see how that's going to work out. The other thing that's, I think, interesting to note is the hash ribbon. It's been in capitulation and has stopped being in capitulation. I think if we look at the weekly, it may actually signal a buy signal pretty soon. So gonna keep an eye on that. I'm not super convinced for one way or the other way. And like I said last week, I'm still focused on cash here. I want to see strength, and if this is going to get rejected once again below this daily breakout block, and we're going to trade back to 30, it's just going to be very, very messy. And I think that price is just, at least going to test like 25 and maybe even lower. And I don't think this entire structure is going to get broken straight away if we trade into it. So I'm I don't feel any FOMO right here, and just going to wait for the obvious setups to occur. And then ETH, let's have a look, because the ETH BTC pair just sold off back into our level here. So I think that ETH BTC has been a buy. And if you remember a couple of videos ago, I discussed how this gray level here has always been if it traded into it, got rejected straight away, then usually afterwards it traded through it. If it traded through it straight away, it always retested the level, right? So here it traded through it straight away, then got retested, rejected. Then here, first time it went into it, it got rejected, but then traded straight through it. So we can see here how I said that, it is very likely that this area is going to get retested, and here we are. So I think, unless we lose the level, ETH BTC is a solid bet to at least try and re-attack this supply zone that we've been in. So between here and here. So this is probably going to trade it back up to the orange, and maybe if we look at the daily, I think it's very likely for this to trade back into where it kind of lost its top, which is around here. So that's 0.0740-ish. So it would make a lot of sense for this to trade into here. And then, obviously if it's going to reclaim it, then it's going to have continuation. And if not, we're probably going to trade back into here. And then it's not a place where I want to long again, because that would be the second test. And I'm not saying that it's going to lose it straight away, but, there's no edge in there, I think, personally. And, if we consider BTCD, Bitcoin dominance, we can see how we bounce really hard out of our zone. This may or may not bounce all the way up to at least here. And it's tricky because, even on a daily, there is not a lot of, it's just a straight line, right? But there's a little bit of consolidation here. So this should be a resistance. Obviously, there is a little bit of resistance here, but if this does this, I think it's going to go trade back above 50 towards 52, 53. This may, it's probably going to do something like this. So overall, I'm cautious. Bull market may be on pause. And if I need to kind of explain where my head's at, it's what I think is very likely is that the next couple of months are going to be, well, not without volatility, because Bitcoin is super volatile at the moment, but I don't think we're going to see bull market continuation in the next couple of months. I think Bitcoin is likely to be in a range between 20 and 50K. I'm not really sure in what order we will see those levels. It could be first 50, then 20. It could be first 25, 20, then 50 again. Bigger picture, it makes sense to me that we're going to be in this range for a while, right? And then maybe by, I don't know, this is kind of, sorry, I need to reconsider the timeline here because we're on a weekly time frame. I do think that if summer is going to have a range, I think it's going to, it's likely to get continuation maybe by September, October, in this time frame. And then I think it's possible that we're going to trade towards that 100, 200K that everyone has been expecting. So maybe this is just going to dangle a little bit, go sideways between 42 and 30 for a while, and then maybe even peak up to 50, and then eventually trade into the previous all-time high at 20K, 25K, bounce back, have a little bit of a pullback, and then by the time it's September, maybe we're going to see bull run continuation. I think personally that I don't think we're going to trade below, much below 20. I see people talking about maybe we're going to trade back to 13K because that's the high here. If we trade far below 20K, I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that we're going to see a bull run again later this year. So essentially what I want to see is that Bitcoin keeps trading between 50 and 20K for the next couple of months to be able and have a chance at a bull market continuation. Very much like we had, you know, very comparable in a sense to what we saw in 2013. So essentially what is possible, but I don't know if that's the case, but what I think is possible is that we are in this, you know, similar spot here, and then later on we're gonna have that, right? I hope that makes sense. I've personally been repeating myself, but I'm going to be cautious and conservative. If there's a setup to the upside, take it, but I'm going to be taking profit very carefully and aggressively, and I'm going to be, you know, cash focused and try to make sure that I don't lose in terms of USD. I think that's the play right now. And then when things become really bullish again, we're going to be shouting up only again and, you know, bet heavy on upside. And now we're just going to play the range. TP at resistances I'm not expecting that resistances are going to get broken easily until we actually really see like hardcore capitulation. Maybe last week was hardcore capitulation, but then again we had a multi-week, multi-month sideways range that we've broken down from, so it's just not going to snap to the upside as easily. I hope that made sense. 17 minutes, and thank you Prime for sponsoring. Thank you guys for watching, and see you Wednesday.